Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 54, April the 25th, 2017, Wednesday. Okay, pretty much like the last couple days, it's the calm before the storm. You know, we had about a week and a half where we had a flurry of things come out, and we covered that here going back about 10 days ago. We just had like a week and a half where a lot of things were coming out. But the last week or so, it's been really slow. So, as I said in the previous video, I think it's that sort of one of two things. Either it's the calm before the storm because you have certain members on the committee who are holding their cards close to their chest and they're focusing on the questions they're going to ask and how they're going to conduct the interviews for the hearings that are coming up. Or, on the other hand, which I think is probably more likely, they just want this thing to go away. Republicans and Democrats on these committees, mostly establishment, do not want to take on the military-industrial complex, do not want to take on the international bankers, they do not want to take on the deep state, which is the intelligence agencies. And if they follow through on this Trump surveillance and follow the story the way we have, they're going to come to the only logical conclusion, which is that there was a political operation on behalf of the Obama administration, which included the intelligence agencies, both foreign and domestic, as well as law enforcement, Department of Justice, and others who participated in this. And this could bring down a lot of people, and including the national security state itself. So this is not something any of these people want to do. It's not good for them personally, politically speaking. So they would like to make this whole thing just go away. That's what they would like to see. But we're going to try to make sure that that does not happen. We're going to try to continue to put pressure and follow this story. And hopefully there's other good journalists out there who are continuing to dig on this story and make sure that it doesn't die. Because it needs to be brought out. The truth needs to come out. And people need to be held accountable because, once you set this precedent, it can be used again and again and again, and it only gets worse and worse and worse. It's not like these people have a limit to how far they will go. They'll go all the way at some point. I mean, there's no stopping these people. There's never enough power and control that will satisfy them. And at some point, you have to stop it. You have to reverse it. And the only way to do that is to hold people accountable, which, as we know, never happens. And it's not going to happen if we rely on the Congress. So I think we just have to keep pushing this story. That's why I do these videos, and hopefully other journalists will stay on this story as well. But anyway, it is a slow day in TowerGate, but I've got several other videos, important videos to do today, so that's okay. So just a couple items we'll get to. We now do have actual dates for when these hearings are going to resume, and it looks like the closed hearing, which is going to be Admiral Rogers and James Comey, that closed hearing is going to occur on May the 2nd. So I'm sure we'll get some sort of a brief statement from the committee about what they learned about that, but unfortunately it's going to be a closed hearing, so we're probably not going to get, the real scoop. We're probably going to get, a sanitized statement that doesn't really incriminate anybody or doesn't hold either Comey or Rogers accountable for anything, and I just don't expect much will come out of it. But the date has been set for May 2nd for the closed hearings. Then on May the 8th is when they're going to have the open hearings, and this is the House Intelligence Committee I'm referring to. And on May the 8th, we're going to see Sally Yates, the former acting AG, which Trump fired because she wouldn't enforce the travel ban. And of course, we're going to see John Brennan and Clapper. Of course, we know that John Brennan was a key player in this political attempted assassination of Donald Trump. He's guilty as hell. He probably needs to be in front of a grand jury. He probably needs to be going to jail, as he was a major key player. Obama, the Clintons, Brennan being the Clintons' inside source. And, of course, we know that Valerie Jarrett was the central controller of all of this. And all these people need to be brought in front of a grand jury and probably sent to jail. Don't know if that'll happen. I think it should, but I can't say that it will. We'll keep watching it. But anyway, that's who we're going to hear from on May the 8th. That is an open hearing. So I expect Clapper and Brennan to lie. They may choose not to answer a lot of questions. based on the fact that they'll say, well, that's, classified, I can't talk about it or whatever. They're going to try and spin and maneuver any way they can. Remember, these are guilty men. They're not going to sit there and openly answer questions who incriminate themselves. They're going to lie, refuse to answer questions, and all these other things. But remember, a lot of times when guys like this get up there and lie, there are people inside these agencies, and when they see someone like this get up and lie, that's what forces them to come out and possibly leak something to a journalist, or maybe even become a whistleblower and go testify in some hearings themselves and prove that these individuals, be it Clapper or Brennan, are lying. We can expect maybe that will happen. That's exactly really what happened with Edward Snowden. It was the hearing where Clapper came out and said, no, we don't, collect intelligence on millions of Americans. That's what really pushed Edward Snowden, because he's sitting there saying to himself, wait a minute, we do that. We do that to millions. We collect everything. And that's what really forced Snowden to come out, was the lie that Clapper told. So we know Clapper's a liar. We know Brennan's a liar. And we can expect that they're going to lie when they are called in front of the Congress. Now, whether or not they want to hold their feet to the fire and catch them in their lies or whatever, or whether they just want this whole thing to go away, allow them to sit there and lie, brush everything under the rug, put on a good show for us, I think that that's most likely what will happen. We'll have to watch it and see. But anyway, there's your hearing dates. Closed hearings on May the 2nd, open hearings on May the 8th. And they originally said they had subpoenaed about 30 people. I've been trying to get the names of those other 30 people. It's just not showing up yet. Maybe because they haven't confirmed or what have you. But we do know the first 3 people that will be showing up will be Clapper, Brennan, and Yates. Okay, so that's pretty much what's going on. The New York Times is still, along with Rachel Maddow, still trying to hold on to the narrative that Trump and Russia collusion, although they're kind of backing away now from the Trump-Russia collusion at the New York Times because they know that's a dead story. But they did run a little story yesterday suggesting that Michael Flynn may have broken the law by not disclosing money he earned from dealings with Russia. I assume they mean giving speeches. Anyway, maybe there's something to that, maybe not, but it really doesn't tie anything to Trump. It just dirties up Michael Flynn some more, and it allows the media to try to tie Michael Flynn. If he's found guilty of something, they can tie him to Trump. It's not going to bring down Trump. It's not going to cause impeachment hearings or anything like that. It's just more interference, obstruction, and trying to dirty up Donald Trump. That's the only purpose it serves. That's what the New York Times does, and that's what they'll continue to do. Of course, another little story popped out that the Clintons did not disclose donations made to the Clinton Foundation from the Uranium One deal. That, of course, finds itself in the very back page of the New York Times, and of course, there's no criminal, liability there for the Clintons on that specific issue because it wasn't necessarily a crime at this point, I don't believe, and even if it was, that will never be investigated. But when Hillary Clinton came in as Secretary of State, she made an agreement with Obama that she would disclose any donations made to the Clinton Foundation, which could be seen as a conflict of interest. And this is one of the things that she did not disclose. So there's, you can make of that what you will. And one final thing I'll touch on TowerGate today. It has, again, nothing really to do with TowerGate, but it's the story that I picked up on about the missing investigators, which I have now 100% factually for sure. I'm 100% sure that is a fake news story. But it doesn't stop certain websites who obviously are in the clickbait game. These are sites that exist simply to make money. They have no interest really of reporting real news or anything like that. That's why I was skeptical of the story in the beginning. I brought it up on the day that I stumbled onto it because it was interesting, but I never put a lot of stock in it. Once I investigated it for myself, I called Sessions' office, I called Trey Gowdy's office, I scanned the newspapers in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I can absolutely assure you at this point it is a fake news story. But that hasn't stopped a couple of websites who are notorious for fake news, and those sites are usapolitics.com. This is a site that's does nothing more than just, it's a clickbait site. They come up with stories with headlines that are clickbait, and they don't care if the story is true or not. They just want people clicking on the story and reading it. They're really not interested. It's not a serious source of information whatsoever. USA Politics is just fake news. And also, WikiFacts is another site that is, again, it's a fake news site. It's a clickbait site. It exists for one reason only, and that's to make revenue. That's purely it. It's not anything you ever take seriously. So anything you see on usapolitics.com or WikiLeaks, WikiFacts, ignore it. It's fake news. But that hasn't stopped them from taking the story to another ridiculous level. They're now saying that the two investigators' bodies have been found buried in a shallow grave about 100 miles away from where their vehicle was parked. This is, of course, not true. Again, I looked at it. They show you two photos of bodies being recovered from a scene. Those photos are, one of the photos comes from an actual murder where a body was discovered from about 3 years ago. Wasn't even in Arkansas. The other story, the other picture they show you was actually a picture of a training operation, a mock operation where they were, going through the process of through a training process of finding some bodies or whatever. It was actually from a training, thing that they were running. These two pictures have absolutely nothing to do with these two investigators. So just so you're clear on this, the story about two investigators going missing in Little Rock, Arkansas, investigating the Clintons or what have you, is a fake news story. It is not real. It's clickbait. And the continued story of finding these bodies is also just a piggyback onto that original fake news story. It is also fake news. It is not true. Don't believe it. If you're entertained by that sort of propaganda, go ahead and click on it and read about it and enjoy yourself. But it's a spoof. It's not to be taken seriously. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Day 54, TowerGate, May the 25th. Hearings begin, closed hearings on May the 2nd. The first open hearing on May the 8th. And we will watch carefully as the hearings play out, and within the first couple of days I will be able to tell you whether or not we're looking at a real serious attempt to get to the bottom of this, or whether they're looking just to make this thing go away. Alrighty, y'all, have a good day. Got more videos coming up for you. See ya.